Welcome to the Mustang Champions Insights Podcast, connecting audiences with those who work with, train, and compete with American Mustangs. Join us as we talk to fellow Mustang champions about their perspectives and experiences in working with Mustangs as companions and champions. Here's your host, Matt Manroe.
I'd like to welcome you to the Mustang Champions Insights Podcast. You may or may not know that Mustang Champions is a nonprofit, and we work in partnership with the Bureau of Land Management Wild Horse and Burro Program to help them get Mustangs that have been gathered off the range, to help get them adopted and purchased and into private care into homes. So my name is Matt Manroe. I am the Executive Director of Mustang Champions, and our hope for this podcast is that we get to introduce you to people from different backgrounds and experiences that currently own or have worked with and trained Mustangs for competitions, for workhorses, or just to be great companion horses. We want you to understand the differences between Mustangs and most domestic horses and how versatile they can be, in the hope that one day, as you learn more, that you will get interested and go adopt a Mustang for your own. I am here today with Samantha Rock. Welcome, Samantha. Samantha and I know each other. I have gotten to watch her compete in Mustang competitions for years. How many years might that have been?
Since 2015, so 10 years I've been doing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I know that you are a huge Mustang enthusiast. You've had great success competing. But if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of go backwards a little bit and just let you talk a little bit about how you got involved with horses to begin with.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I'm Samantha Rock. I go by Sam. Born and raised in Maui, Hawaii. Love that. Growing up there was amazing.
Beautiful place.
Yes. Moved to Colorado in 2009, and I've been here ever since, and currently live in Brighton, Colorado with my husband, Luke, and we have a 2.5-year-old son, Rowdy. Currently working as a large animal vet tech part-time, and then we also run rock horses where we train and sell quality all-around horses. So that's kind of my intro there. But
so how old were you when you first really started getting on a horse?
Yeah, so luckily growing up in Maui, I had amazing horse property up on the mountains. So we had like a 5-acre pasture. And then our house actually backed to the Pony Express, which was a trail riding company in Hawaii. And there is where I kind of fell in love with horses, I'd say, So the lady that boarded her horses in our pasture, she probably started me at a really young age. I would say like 3 or 4 or 5, I don't know. But she had me up on a horse riding around, and I wanted to take lessons, and that didn't start until I wasn't allowed to take lessons until I was 7 years old. That was the age limit for kids,
right,
where I took lessons. And then I competed in English for many years, but mainly started when I was 7 years old.
So I know that there is a difference because I personally own 2 Mustangs. To me, there is a difference between Mustangs and domestic horses. What is it about Mustangs for you?
I do like that they're very versatile. They can just do so much. And, they're all, I think I like the challenge a little bit too. They're really neat horses. And once you really get that bond with them, they really trust you, and they're a lot of fun to work with. And they're just nice riding horses, and we, living in Colorado, we have nice trails to go on in the mountains and stuff. And man, they make some really nice trail horses. And, I've roped on a few. We rope, and the jumping the last couple of years has been a lot of fun for me. And they'll just kind of do everything, really. And I think that's what I like about them.
How many Mustangs do you think you've gentled and trained?
Gosh, I've been doing it for 10 years now, and I would say 20 plus, maybe more than that. But, I've helped people with their Mustangs too. And there's been a lot.
So I definitely consider you to be a fine example of a Mustang champion. I'm not sure what you're doing in your training process, but you have had extreme success in my point of view, over the last 2 years with our competitions. Talk a little bit about last year and what you accomplished this year.
Right. So I, again, will go back to me being really competitive. And I would say that helps a lot, and just really knowing the preliminary classes and just studying and training for those preliminary classes really helped me. Last year I had a nice horse, a nice athletic horse that I had a feeling he would do well. I knew he would do well in Kentucky, and then I was like, I think I'll do pretty well in the challenge too. And he really, we barely slipped in there last year in the challenge. But just preparing him for like those classes and the reining and the ranch riding and just studying and doing all that, I was familiar with the trail, obviously, because we've done that a lot, in past makeovers. But I mean, I get out there and I ride him every day, and I'm out there, just training and like I said, studying, and this year it was the same thing. I ended up having two really nice horses. And I really didn't think my mare was going to be an English horse. And then she ended up doing really well in Kentucky and ended up top 3 there, so she really surprised me. But really, I say, I just study the preliminary classes as much as I can. And I call them around and take them to these shows. We went to working equitation shows, and we went to, last year I did a lot of eventing trials, and this year I did a few as well, and just kind of training for those classes and doing the shows and getting the time on them.
So just to brag, you not only had a horse in both our Western competition and English competition top 10 last year, but you had 2 horses in the top 10 in our Western competition and our English competition this year, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So unbelievable.
Thank you.
Unbelievable. I mean, the hair is standing on my arms as I say that. It's just very, very exciting to watch. And I think in both yours and my backgrounds, it wasn't often that horses crossed over from Western to English, correct? Or English to Western, either way.
Right. Yeah. I don't, not too often for sure. I will say there was more of it in Hawaii. When I moved to the mainland, there was a lot less of it. But, you can understand, we living in Hawaii, we're limited on horses. So, usually we would have a horse that kind of did everything. So I really have enjoyed kind of going back to my roots and being able to do that with my horses both years. I learned so much this year. The cross training really improved my horses, hind end, by jumping them and using them for jumping. And then it helped with like lead changes, and it just, everything like changed. And it made me really think like, man, I really want to produce these all around horses, because it really helps the training, I think. And, it helps their minds too, because they get to do different things. They're not bored with the same thing all the time.
Interesting. So do me a favor, pretend that I'm someone that competes, but I've never gentled a Mustang. How might I approach it? Might I work with you? Because I don't have to be the person that gentles the horse to compete with the horse. In fact, I don't even have to be the person that adopted or purchased the Mustang to compete with the Mustang. So just talk a little bit about what you see kind of the opportunities are for people in order to compete in our competitions.
Okay, yeah. So if you like to show horses and enjoy it, and you're kind of thinking about entering maybe one of these Mustang competitions, there's a lot of Mustang trainers out there that are gentling horses that they've gotten, in this time frame, and they're selling them halter broke or ready to go, or even saddle trained sometimes. And I think that's a great way to get into the competition, is maybe get one. If you're a little, worried about the gentling process and not wanting to go through that, there's lots of horses out there that might be gentled that somebody might be able to get, and then they're ready to go and kind of get ready for the show environment. And if you wanted to do something like that, it's really a nice opportunity that, we don't have to be the original trainer or adopter to compete in these competitions. They can be trained by someone else, really.
And something I thought was interesting too is on the same Mustang, one person may have shown it in our Western competition, and then someone else showed it in the English competition. And I just, again, speaking about versatility, I think that is something that as people look to have a Mustang of their own, just know that they're very capable.
Yes, I think that was awesome. The husband and wife team, traded basically, and
Yeah.
the Western and English. They're really good friends of ours, so that was kind of fun. And they,
Yeah.
kind of played around with us and made us think that Matt was doing it. But
So this husband and wife have done a lot of Mustang competitions over the years, and Stacy Zimmerman basically grew up English
yes,
training
yeah,
discipline, and Matt Zimmerman was Western. So the husband and wife team kind of traded off between the two competitions, and it was really great to watch.
that was fun. And
Yeah, it was really
we
fun.
thought about it doing it too. My husband, he's not really gotten into English much, but lately he has. Ever
Good
since
for him.
yes, he's been
Yeah.
getting the English. We got him an English saddle, and we went to
Wow.
a pair pace a couple weekends ago. So because we kind of he thought about doing the English competition because he thought that Matt was doing it, but yeah.
Yeah. Nice. I just want to thank you for what you do for Mustangs and how you champion Mustangs. And I know you will continue to do Mustang programs for years to come, as well as everything else you're doing, as well as raising a child. So just kind of throw that into the mix. But
Yeah.
your success has been extremely exciting. And thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your experience.
Well, thank you, Matt, and Mustang Champions, for having these competitions and giving us somewhere to go, for quite a bit of money, and having the opportunity to compete with these Mustangs and show that they are, nice horses and versatile and can do a lot.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Mustang Champions Insights Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this insightful journey into the world of the American Mustang. Please share this episode and contact Matt anytime at matt.manroe@mustangchampions.org. And join us again for another episode of the Mustang Champions Insights Podcast on the Equus Radio Network.